The church was born around a table. Food and faith, it seems from Scripture, are deeply connected. And having shared many tables with my brothers and sisters around the world, mostly in places where the church is just a family or two, I've come to love Luke's portrait of our family's beginning. Behind the joy, however, lies a difficult reality. Scholars put the stoning of Stephen just a few months after this glad meal, and many of the believers I have shared a table with face equal stakes today. The gospel to which we cling, our hope, comes at a great price in many parts of the world. Sharing meals and swapping stories with these men and women has taught me much. These are a few of the lessons I've learned at the table. Jesus tells the story of a table in Matthew 22. Go to the street corners, the master tells his servants, and invite to the banquet anyone you can find. At Jesus' table, all are welcome.
What was the emotion that you felt as a 13-year-old girl with a husband?
Если честно, я не могу вспомнить этого времени.
This is Medina, and her story is ripe with tragedy. I can't show you her face, because in her country, to follow Christ is to invite trouble, and she suffered enough of that. At 13, her parents married her off. By age 20, her husband was in jail. Her family couldn't take her back, and her in-laws had no use for her.
Это очень плохо. همچون ایماندار من نمیخواهم که نه تنها با یگان ایماندار بلکه با آدمانی که به خداوند ما ایمان ندارن این حادثه رخ ندهد.
She turned to drinking to mute the pain.
اما روز وقتی که بیگور بود آمدم در کухні در پشت شکاف بود 5 لیتر بنزین. وقتی که 5 لیتر بنزین رو گرفتم در سرم ریختم در فکر نداشتم که میسوزم. در فکر خودم یگان چیز نبود. وقتی که ریختم آلو شد ترسیدم.
10 days later, she woke up in the hospital, burned from head to toe, unrecognizable as a human being. Jesus said he came for the sick, not the healthy. Fittingly, it was in the hospital that she met one of Jesus' followers who offered her, the one no one wanted, an invitation to the table.
خداوندم میندار هستم که من از این همه راه‌ها گشتم و در دلم مهر دارم و میتوانم نزدیکان خودم را دوست داشتم.
Sitting in her tiny home over a cup of tea, the hospitality of Jesus hit me anew. Shalom, the peace that sets right all that is broken, means that all who are broken are welcome at his table. You, my brothers and sisters, are free, Paul wrote to the Galatians. But don't use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. How we live is the only invitation to Jesus' table that most people will ever receive. My friendship with Dante was formed while bouncing along the roads of Magog on the back of his motorcycle. It was the love he showed in an ever-present smile, not his words, that drew me in. He takes that same love and joy into his work planting churches among the lush hills of central Myanmar. After lunch, I asked him about his affection for his people.
သူတို့ငရဲတွားရမှာကိုလုံးဝမလိုချင်ဘူးအဲ့ဒါကြောင့်မို့သူတို့ကအမှမဆုံးရှုံးစေချင်အောင်ချစ်တယ်ပေါ့
It was around a table over an evening meal that Jesus used those same words to define the greatest form of friendship. We are known by our love, and Dante is turning his culture of karmic consequence on its ear with a life that invites the Lisu people to sip from living water at a table of grace. The country of Georgia is a Christian outpost in a largely Islamic part of the world. Geographically speaking, the ancient city of Tbilisi is at the intersection of East and West, and it straddles the line between ancient and modern.
In Georgia, if you are not an Orthodox, you are a betrayer, not a true son of my nation, a true son of my country in the eyes of most of the people around me.
Foxes have dens, birds have nests, but Gia and the people who attend his house church are citizens of a future kingdom that's often very hard to see. Gia has a unique perspective on the in-between place he calls home.
Geographically, it's very obvious. If you take the map and look at it, Georgia is right in the middle, mainly the Muslim world around it. It's Turkey, it's Azerbaijan, and the Northern Caucasus. All of them are Muslims. Only Armenia, neighbor country, is not Muslim.
In Gia's mind, that makes Tbilisi, this 1,500-year-old city, a strategic outpost for the kingdom in our modern world. Several times a year, he hosts believers from neighboring countries to come to Georgia because, as he sees it,
Georgia is a safe place for all of them to come for training and teaching and equipping to go and serve.
While in Tbilisi, these brothers and sisters catch a glimpse of the hard-to-see kingdom and return home with that vision to Iran, Azerbaijan, and Turkey. In this way, Gia is helping redefine a region once very much closed to the gospel. It is a worthy task to set a table of peace, but the assignment is not easy for the few who take it up.
You know, honestly, there were times in my life when I feel huge, deep disappointment. I just think people just don't want the gospel. I know it's hard in Georgia to evangelize, to do discipleship. It's all about relationship and it takes a long time and it's one person at a time. But I have seen examples of God's faithfulness.
Like this small community who gathers faithfully around the table every week. A sign of things to come. Once again, as another meal with those he loved was winding down, Jesus rose from the table and laid aside his outer garments. He wrapped a towel around his waist, poured water in a basin, and began to wash his disciples' feet. The men and women I've met at the tables of the world, they inspire me. Somehow, they've found enough in Jesus to lay safety, culture, reputation, finances, every aspect of their lives at his feet, simply because he first laid himself at theirs. And in a world like that, there is no sorrow, no hurt or grief, no shame, addiction, trouble, or heartbreak that his table won't heal. Of all the lessons I've learned, the greatest is this. I have a seat at the table and a responsibility to help someone find a seat beside me.